Welcome back, guys. My name is Dimitri Sebastian.
And I'm Wes Kendall.
And we are back in session where your fitness and lifestyle questions are answered and bro science is put to the test. Today's topic is going to be interesting because I'm going to be playing devil's advocate a bit because I feel like we're on the same page, but I'm going to be difficult.
Okay.
And it's actually Salias was the one who asked for this, I believe, and it was intuitive eating. And you actually looked up the real definition, right?
I did look up the definition.
Because we thought we knew, but it actually ended up being a little bit more wholesome, though I still think it's misused.
All right, so I'll read you guys the definition and apologize ahead of time if we pissed you guys off or anger any people who
please do.
Be,
write
very
a comment.
Emotionally connected to intuitive eating. But yes, here you go. Oh, that's a different one than last time. Okay, here it is. No, that's a book.
That's a book.
Did I text it to you?
No, you didn't.
What? I freaking lost it. No, I must have taken a screenshot. You reminded me. There it is. Intuitive eating is an eating style that promotes a healthy attitude toward food and body image. The idea that you should eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, and though this should be an intuitive process, for many people it's not. And that is from www.healthline.com.
Healthline's pretty good.
I think so. It's not like...
I've read stuff on it before. Every time because I avoid WebMD, so I try to go to Healthline.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's not one of those CrossFit pages or something like that.
Well, yeah, exactly. Or the www.carnivoredietisgood.com kind of stuff like that. I think they're pretty balanced. So for intuitive eating, okay, we have the definition. It's about having a healthy relationship with food, healthy lifestyle, eat when you're hungry, live your life, live and let be. Now, how do you actually see it used? Because just because something has a definition doesn't mean that people actually listen to that definition. It's like, irregardless, it's not a word. It's going to be in the dictionary soon because people keep using it.
Well, yeah, I think it's been around for a while. It's probably not going anywhere, and it's very talked about in different forms and different, I guess, fitness genres. Yeah. I mean, I think that I think it's different than a diet. Do you agree?
I think it is the definition of what people talk about when they say living a healthy lifestyle, not dieting.
Okay.
However, I think that you can't do intuitive eating without proper education, which is counterintuitive. So we'll get to it in a second, but I think what a lot of people think, they think intuitive eating, eat when you're hungry. Now, Salias is a perfect example of this. We were just talking about this before we started recording. Salias has a incredibly low appetite. He doesn't need to eat a lot.
Yes.
However, myself, if there's food in front of me and I just decide I'm just going to eat until I'm full, I could graze all day too much. It's just like that part of my brain is saying we can keep doing eat. So for us, our concept of intuitive eating, we can't trust just our hunger signs because they're not reliable. And I think that is the disconnect where a lot of Instagram fitspos and super healthy people with really great education on these things are oh, just eat when you're hungry, eat when you're comfortable. Well, yeah, you're satiated after, a green salad with chicken on top.
Right.
Whereas other people are cool, yeah, I was actually able to eat fast enough to where I could get 3/4 pounders inside of me before my body realized what I was doing. That's the difference between if you just say eat till you're full. If someone doesn't have the education, they can either underdo it or overdo it very easily.
Right. Yeah. Without at least some free work, I agree. You can definitely go out of intuitive eating. Plus, I would also say that I do want to get into the leptin and ghrelin hormones, which is what causes that feeling of, oh man, I'm definitely full, I can't eat too much, or the leptin or the hormones causing it to have you not really ever feel really full unless you overdo it.
Yeah.
So it's that's definitely a huge part in how we respond to the food and how much food we can fit in. I also think that to not jump ahead to that one yet, but is to say that that intuitive eating is more of a maintenance plan, not a diet. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. So you're kind of saying when you say it's a maintenance plan, you're saying you've already gotten to a goal.
Yeah.
And then you choose to intuitively eat to maintain that goal.
Yes. So it's like your body likes homeostasis. Remember, it's always talking about I want to be in the same spot. I don't want to add or change anything that's going to cause big upsets in my physiology up one way or the other. And it likes to kind of sit at a certain point. Now that can shift very slowly over years, or can reduce or add a few pounds here or there based on the seasons, but we don't like to vary off of that very much. So
Okay. So
intuitive
actually,
eating helps you with that.
you did guide us
Yeah.
into the next topic of if you had to pick what type of person it works for, who would that be?
I would say mostly people who are trying to kind of stay where they're at, or it's a very good lifestyle approach. It's like I can maintain my current level of fitness. I'm not going to get super unhealthy where I'm obese, but I'm not going to shred down to 12% or something like that. They can kind of get away with that. Like some people sit naturally at a leaner body fat or naturally at like a higher body fat regardless of muscle mass.
Yeah.
And that can also be a way to maintain that if you're already where you want.
Now, I'd make the argument that it can, and I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here, it can work for anyone in theory. What needs to happen is you need to have a baseline knowledge of what healthy eating is and what unhealthy eating is. And you also need to have an understanding of your own ability to have the accountability.
Right.
You need to be able to discipline. I'm going to just bring it down to discipline. You need to be able to say, okay, 3/4 pounders, I've done this before.
Right.
I know what's going to happen after the third one. I know what's going to happen after the second one. So maybe I should eat one and then just sit on it and then just wait. That's what a lot of us do. We're cram because you're not full yet. It's stuff like that. Those are the kinds of things that intuitive eating is. So if you don't have the education and knowledge or the discipline, then you're never going to have it.
You're already kind of treading into this, so I'm going to just push forward to the next point, and then we'll get into what you were just saying. But who doesn't intuitive eating work for?
I would say someone who has to make like a specific and time oriented change, like someone doing a competition or like a sporting event. It's like, well, for example, if an actor wants to get ready for a role or like an athlete wants to be a certain weight for a competition, then they have to make scheduled progress where you have to take complete control of the diet in order to pull that off. But intuitive eating, I think with your framework, like you're saying right there, would work very well with a little bit of structure. And depending on if it was going more like portions or macros, it would be like the zone diet or a basic percentage-based diet.
I would say the only people it can't work for are people with eating disorders,
Right.
in overeating or undereating. I would say it doesn't work for people who have I'm just gonna call it like addictions of sorts. Like if you're an alcoholic or you're
Right.
on drugs, something it's probably just not gonna work for you
That's a good point.
until you get those things figured out. You probably shouldn't be worried about your weight just now. You probably should focus on those things. And I would say that it doesn't work for people who have certain health conditions. Because you just can't, work specifically off of that. It can become a pseudo-intuitive eating because you can become intuitively eating for your system, but I would say it might be a little bit different depending. But yeah, if you have other things that are conflicting with your ability to manage weight in any direction, it's not going to work. But for the vast majority of the healthy populace, I think that it would work just fine.
All right, so Dimitri keeps touching on this.
Yes.
So there's no reason not to dive on in. Is food a drug?
Well, I think some people attach like drug-like reactions to food. I don't think it's necessarily like I hear the term that it's as strong as cocaine or whatever or heroin, but I think
Oreos trigger the same part.
No, it's sugar.
Yeah.
It's sugar. I don't know if that's true, and I refuse to check.
I think it's like
it says sugar activates the same part as cocaine.
yeah, I think it that's true. It does access the same part, but to the magnitude, I wonder. I don't think it's got to be the similar.
I am
maybe for some
looking
people.
up the definition of drug.
Yeah.
A
So
medicine or other substance which has a physiological effect when ingested or otherwise introduced into the body. Damn it,
damn.
I think food might be a drug.
you're right. Actually, you changed my mind.
I think, well, and that's when people talk about,
Wow.
not to get political about it, we're going to have to call Dab Cap Dylan in here.
Yeah.
Why is marijuana legal when alcohol isn't? Alcohol's not a drug. Yeah, it is. Caffeine's not a drug. Yeah, it is.
Both marijuana and alcohol are legal.
Oh yeah, I forgot that changed.
Well,
In Arizona, federal. I'm still in the military. Okay, these things aren't legal. But like, yeah, food. It. What is it? You eat it. It does have sugar, especially if you've ever been like, especially if you're on like a diet or something,
Right.
and it's like been all week. You've been an extra good behavior, and it's your cheat day,
Right.
and you just get like a bite of, I don't know, like cake, like cheesecake for me. It's like cheesecake. It's just like
Excellent choice.
it is. Oh, it just like hits so good, and it's just like that is a physiological effect. So I think that if not for necessarily everyone, I think if I would say a air quotes drug,
right.
but technically,
I think you're 100% right that it would be a drug. The only coupling with that is that it's also a fuel. So it's like you have to eat food. It's not like
Yeah,
you don't have
yeah.
to, drink a fifth of Jack Daniels, but you do have to fuel yourself at some point. Yeah.
I think you can be addicted to food.
Yeah.
You can be addicted to food. I know people who are addicted to food. I know people who are addicted to sugar. I once knew somebody that their kid refused to drink water, and the only way to get him to drink water was to put sugar in the water. And then several years later, that kid went every single slice, like making the best face. That kid had a sugar addiction.
Yeah.
But later on,
Right.
and no one really cared. And don't even make that look, Mister. I drank Pepsi almost exclusively. Somehow didn't get a kidney stone.
Not this in a long time.
He did. When did you stop doing that? I think that was in high school when you
Yeah, it
stopped.
was high school.
But yeah, there's people who, if you took away their sody pop, they'd have the same exact reaction as someone who's like an alcoholic, and you're like, hey, you can't drink anymore. And you're like, I don't have a problem. I can do what I want. I'm an adult. So, yeah, maybe food is a drug.
Well, don't tell that to Lizzo.
Oh, come on. Why men great till they gotta be great?
I know, right? Okay.
Okay, so
Had to piss
I'm
someone
actually
off.
I want to keep that rolling.
Yeah.
So like, certain foods are obviously more addictive than others. What should you
Right.
stick to? What should you stay away from?
Yeah. So like the main, culprit on that, it would be like people blame insulin and carbs usually together, and that is influenced by like how much carbs you eat at once, or how much like the calorie size of your meal is, and also like body fat percentage. So the closer you are to being obese, which is a state where you're insulin resistant, then you handle carbs, in a way that makes you feel more, I guess, of that feeling than if you were at 25 to 10% body fat range, something like that.
Okay, so actually, we're going entirely out of order, but now I feel that this is more important now. We talk about that food can be a drug, air quotes drug.
Right.
Are there good foods versus bad? Is there such thing? Like, there's no bad dogs, only bad owners.
I
Is
guess.
there bad food?
I get what you mean. Well, there's foods that aren't going to do you any favors, and that's
I like that.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I think you should like allow yourself to enjoy whatever foods you want, as long as you're not making yourself in a more unhealthy place unreasonably.
If you have the
yeah.
ability to manage it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think a lot of people, like, I know people that can say, like, oh, a slice of pizza, I'm only going to have, like, one, and they mean it. Then other people, like, they will eat until they're either is gone or they're, comatose.
Right.
So necessarily, I like your statement. There's foods that aren't going to do you any favors.
Yeah.
There's also foods that are misleading. Actually, I would blame the beverage companies more than anything, like vitamin water,
Body armor.
Body
yeah.
Armor,
Both of those have so many
Sobe
calories.
Life Water. All of these things are like health, vitamins, this, that, the other. Eat a piece of fruit. God, just eat a piece of fruit and drink some water, because you don't need, the same amount of sugar as from a soda
I agree.
to get some, vitamins.
Yeah. No, it's a big part.
No, I did make fun of Dimitri for sitting on the couch with a bag of peanut M&Ms.
That is not what happened.
I ate 3.
I left it on the couch. He walks out in the morning and he's like, this might be the fattest thing you've ever done. I was like, I ate 3 of them. I'm sorry I left them on the couch. Because it's like one of those big bags from Costco.
Yeah.
But yes. Also, you're the one who left it on the coffee table. That's why I got left on the couch. Back on track. So there's foods that are the same way as those drinks. It's you go to Burger King, you go to McDonald's, like, you know what you're doing.
Right.
We all know what we're doing. But then you can go to like a mid-tier steak restaurant, and they're gonna be like, oh, so I'm not gonna get steak because red meat's bad for you. I'm gonna get the Parmesan crusted chicken. You blew it. It's Parmesan crust. That is just fried chicken.
Yeah.
That they added an extra step.
Oh, I see what you're
It's
saying.
not healthy. Or they'll be like, oh, well, I got it with the asparagus, and it's basically drowned in butter, so that kind of doesn't count anymore. And I got it with a sweet potato instead of a regular potato. Yeah, but you load it with brown sugar and all that stuff. Unhealthy foods can kind of be hidden.
Yeah, you're right. There's definitely like calories you got to watch out for. You know, it's like, you know, if it doesn't have your macros in it, I say it's not good. So it's like, I think the biggest culprits ever would be, you know, like a donut or pizza, which are 2 of my favorites.
I do love a donut.
You know, that's like
Bosa donuts.
yeah, like a donut or pizza. I guess, you know, pizza you can have a little bit more argue for because there is some dairy protein, but from the donut, it's like almost zero good. It's literally saturated fat and sugar together, and that's it. Nothing
That
else.
is kind of rough to hear
Yeah.
that. It's like there really is no redeeming qualities to the donut.
Yeah.
Okay, but more on topic. What are like the pros and cons of intuitive eating?
I want to hear from you first because I gotta set up
Yeah,
my.
Okay.
No, I really have. We share the opinions. I just need to like
He's
be set up.
instigating. He's stirring the pot.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Yes.
stirring the pot, but he's gotta set the pot up.
Okay, so pros and I love it. We need it.
Yeah.
I would say to pros and cons for intuitive eating. I think it's good as a lifestyle approach to, you know, have flexibility and, you know, not feel like you're putting extra mental stress on yourself by having to be super picky with your foods. I also think, especially more for if you add a little bit of structure to it, that it could be like one of the better lifestyle diets out there. And then I guess another pro for it would be that you can really like allow your body to naturally maintain itself. You know, you're not going to like be pushing a lot of discomfort or like, you know, situations where you're having to punch numbers into a scale and measure everything and kind of save yourself some time and kind of maintain the direction you're going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as someone who doesn't eat very much, I think intuitive eating is stupid because obviously I need to eat more than what I feel like I need to eat. Give me the cons.
Okay. So cons, I think that without, you know, we can't always trust our hunger and satiety hormones. You know, like that's one thing apparent. Like if you do eat a really fattening food, especially like the more processed ones, don't you feel hungry for more? Or, I mean, I do. I know you might not, but
I mean, personally, I have to be careful about what I eat only because I need bulk. If
Right.
like, so the donut's a perfect example. Like if you live in the Arizona, I don't know if they're outside, there's Bosa donuts.
Right.
If there are 12 Bosa donuts and there's no one else there to eat the other 12, I can eat 12 Bosa donuts because they are not dense. I'm going to feel terrible afterwards.
Of course.
But like I've done it before. They're not dense, they're high in sugar, and they're just going through me. I don't eat 12 at once, but I can eat them throughout the course of like 3 hours
While they're
because
there.
they don't sit. They just like there's like flowing through because there's no bulk there.
Right.
So the concept of like, oh, just eat until you're full. It's like, well, if you're eating food that doesn't hold weight,
right.
then congratulations, you played yourself.
Yes, good point. Yeah, that's the other end of the spectrum, which is like you don't have as much. I think it's leptin, which is the no, it's ghrelin, which is the satiety hormone, and it's just like you're not going to really feel full. I mean, that's one thing that I've noticed, even though I'm bulking now, is I eat my portioned amount of food and I'm still hungry, and it's like, well, what can I do? I could drink a big glass of water, then I feel full. That's one
Yep,
thing,
yep.
and then 2, I can wait it out for like 30 minutes, and then I'm like, I'm not hungry anymore, but I'm not really full. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that How would you describe it?
I think the glass of water is one of those like underlooked, like it's one of those ones that you get recommended by like people you don't agree with. It's like, oh, you don't need to get vaccinated, just drink a glass of water. Those are the kind of people that say that. But that part is right. If you're eating food and you're like, I'm still hungry, drink a glass of water, wait.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a really good point because it's like, are you hungry or are you bored?
Right.
Are you hungry or are you bored is a question I ask myself once a day.
I love eating when I'm bored though.
Dude, you've watched me. I'll walk around the house. I'll go look in the fridge. I know I'm not going to eat anything, but I just, it is a pattern that is put into my head. Cause I was like a latchkey kid. So like my parents are never there. So you just like go to the fridge, you just go you eat stuff.
Yeah.
So I still have that habit where I'll stand up, I'll go look in the fridge. I will get nothing.
Right.
I do it almost every single day with no intent of eating anything, just because like it makes me feel better. It's like this weird thing. So
I agree.
All right. And then what's the biggest critique you have of intuitive eating?
I'd say that it doesn't. People use it as a crutch, I think, when they think that they're making a change to their diet. But realistically, you always come back to baseline unless you have structure like this is how many grams of protein I'm going to eat, or might have an eating window, or having like percentage or zone based portion. So I think that people waste time on it. That's my biggest critique.
I would say the only critique that I have is it's misrepresented. Mm-hmm. It's misrepresented by people that want to pass off a healthy lifestyle. They want you to sign up for their stupid yoga class. They want you to freaking do all of this weird foo-foo stuff. And the thing is, if you have a yoga class, I think it's fine. I think it's great. I actually love yoga. But you all know the people, the crunchy granola people that are like, you don't need to do this, that, and the other. You just need to trust your spirit and do intuitively. Like, I am sorry, it is not that simple. I love that for you, that it works for you, but other people need to be a little bit more deliberate with their lifestyle.
I heavily associate like intuitive eating with healthy at any size movement.
That is...
I like that.
That is the most controversial thing that I've heard in a while here, and I'm glad to have you because Wes and I have gotten so bad about we just like, let's find the nice smooth road. You're right. There's a lot of people who are into intuitive eating.
I made the Lizzo comment. Come on.
I think I blocked that from my mind. You're right. Never mind. Actually, that one was worse. You're in second place.
Hey, at least I'm not alone dying on here.
So, let's cut to a quick break.
Okay.
When we can talk about, we can go and talk about the at any size movement.
Okay, good idea.
A quick message from your sponsors, Wes and I.
Yes, you're welcome.
Make sure, if you haven't already, you subscribe to the BNS_radio Instagram. Follow us on YouTube, same name, BNS_radio. And why don't you follow Wes and I on Instagram?
Yes.
That'd be a good thing to do too. What's your handle there?
Mine's WKendall_MFT on Instagram. Thanks for the follow. Leave your listener questions for us to answer.
Yeah, where are our listener questions at? We haven't had a few of those in a little while. You can follow me at Dimitri Sebastian. You should probably follow Wes. Why? Because he says a lot of smart stuff, and he also gives some good training stuff. If you want to see pictures of my cat sporadically, welcome. You're here.
Yes, Quinn Picks. We're all a fan.
Feel free to hit that ding ding at the top, and we will see you once we get back to the show. So, we left off talking about the healthy at any size. Thank you.
Yes.
I'd like to take a second to address this because I disagree with size shaming anyone. And I don't say that just to cover my ass. I think it's annoying.
Okay.
Because I'm actually even more annoying about it because I get really annoyed when people are mean to skinny people. Like, people are like, you need to eat a hamburger. It's like, that is as rude as saying, like, you need to eat a salad. Both are, to me, are equally rude. And as someone who has fluctuated heavily with weight my own, I went from really skinny to like really strong to like gained a bunch of weight, found out I was like, oh, you actually have like a medical condition where that was causing you weight gain. It's like everyone has their own issues, so let's like not presume these things until you kind of get to know them a little better.
That's true.
But to be fair, the healthy at any size, the reason why that gets under my skin is because like I'm a smoker. I smoke cigarettes, obviously. I would never tell people you should be fine smoking cigarettes. Like, you should be happy with yourself smoking cigarettes. I know it's bad.
Right.
I know it's bad for me. I would never tell anybody else to do that.
Right.
So I would, as a
So to start from the top, because you are passionate about this, and I actually agree, and I think you made a really great connection right there, and I'll get to you in 1 second. The Healthy at Any Size movement is a movement that is typically for larger size people that fall into a BMI that would cause them to be obese or severely obese. And their statement is, we can be as healthy as anyone else at this size. The unfortunate part about that is most, if not all, doctors disagree with that. And anytime that they have been on shows, television, anything like that, they'll say, I'm healthy. And then there's usually a doctor to counter them, of course, because reality television is trash. And they'll say, okay, I'm a doctor. What does your doctor say? Does he say you're healthy? And she's like, I shouldn't be held to the doctor's, thoughts on. He's like, no. I'm not like trying. He's like, if your doctor says you're healthy at this size, that's great. I don't care what you look like. I just want you to be healthy. And then they refuse to that's usually where the disconnect is that they say they're as healthy as anyone else, but they also refuse to acquiesce that they are not as healthy as anyone else. So Slias makes a great example where he says, I have this thing that I do that is unhealthy, but I don't walk around telling everyone, actually, I'm great, smoking's great. And I'm glad you don't. That's not true. But for a long time, and I don't think it's popular anymore, the body at any size movement, healthy at any size movement is still been pushing for that. And they're never been popular. The internet just props them up to be more relevant than they actually are.
Because they don't want to get canceled,
Exactly. So the where this falls into intuitive eating, a lot of people who are not a part of the healthy at any size movement, people who want to be comfortable with themselves, people who want to feel valuable, people who want to feel like they are important, and you all are, they have a tendency to choose a way of living that is kinder, is what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So they say, I intuitively eat because I eat when I'm hungry. I trust my body. I love my body. I love who I am. And if you're healthy and your doctor agrees with that,
your blood markers say something.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
Your blood what?
Your blood markers say something whether you are or not.
Exactly. If all of your stuff comes up that you're solid and you're still a little fluffy, I don't care. If you don't want to have I don't think that most people should have 6 packs.
Right.
I don't think that most people should be Shredsville USA. It is not necessarily healthy.
Correct.
We just recently saw that a fat dude doing like ninja backflips and shit, and like absolutely that's amazing, but
I don't know if that's good for his knees.
all the comments were like, dude, your joints are gonna
As someone who used to do tumbling, and I freaking almost blew out a knee.
Yeah.
That is you got to be careful with that. But also, he's probably doing fine because he's clearly still doing it years later, actually. I've seen an update for that. But yeah, so if you don't look great, but all of your stuff reads healthy and you feel good and you're happy with who you are, that I agree with that type of intuitive eating. The problem is when intuitive eating is used to cover up a conscious decision to continue to be unhealthy. If you avoid going to the doctor because every time you go there, you say, hey, doctor, I'm coming in because I have a cold. And they say, okay, cool, here's this. It's some cough medication. And every time they end it with, hey, go ahead and keep an eye on your weight for me, just so you know. And you get offended by that. Doctors didn't get their jobs to be rude. I went to the dentist recently, and it turns out I had like a couple cavities, and I've never had cavities before.
Right.
They treated me like garbage. They're like, well, you have a bunch of cavities, right? I'm like, you guys are usually nice to me here.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? What is happening to me right now? And I understand why you would feel attacked every time you go to the doctors and you say, and they say, hey, you need to lose weight. Like, I don't care about this other issue. You need to lose. This is the pressing problem. I understand why you feel attacked because I was like, why is the dentist being mean to me? This has never happened before. But then I realized he's not being mean to me because he hates me. It's because he's like, you are doing something that is screwing with your teeth.
Right. Making it worse than what they want or what you should be at.
That is exactly what it is.
Right.
So I think that we need to be careful with intuitive eating where if you live a healthy lifestyle, you've got your family, you've got your life, everything's good. But if you're not healthy, you're not healthy. Let's not, no pun intended, but let's not put lipstick on a pig,
Right. I agree. And I think people should be honest whether, they're getting closer to their goals or not on, say if you're trying to go one way or the other with your weight, or 2, if you're approaching a place that's going to make you or your family pay for it.
Exactly. That is the thing I think a lot of people seem to forget. It's you are going to be old at some point. And everything you do right now is just a culmination of how your retirement years are going to be. Because the decisions you make now, it's like, oh, well, I feel great. I don't have a problem right now. What's the issue? It's like, good luck. Have fun later on because it's only going to get worse. Now, on a more positive note,
Yes,
on a
bring us up.
more positive note, because I know that gets kind of grim, and it's serious though, because it's frustrating. I know that you get frustrated with the whole body size movement thing. I don't really think that's as real as people want to be. There's like a couple people that were very loud about it, but we all know somebody who has a very unhealthy relationship with food or their lifestyle.
Had it in the past,
Yes, and you like want to help them, but they have found rhetoric or whatever, or they just convince themselves that they're fine. And it's like, I'm telling you this because I love you. I don't want to, I'm not bullying you.
Right.
If I didn't like you, I just let you be fat.
Yeah.
That is why I'm trying to help out.
That's how I feel about you.
I told him he could fire back, and he did. That's great. Oh, Jesus. Now that we're actually doing something positive, Elias, how do you recommend that people have a healthy relationship with food? Because some people would consider, and I don't agree with them, that tracking macros and stuff is not necessarily a healthy relationship. It's more because of mathematical equation.
Right.
So if you could meet them in the middle, what is a healthy relationship with food?
Well, I do agree that, dieting very strictly could be considered an unhealthy relationship with food in the other direction. That's definitely a factor. I think that an unhealthy diet done, I guess, intentionally isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, because unless you're in an unhealthy body fat percent range, if you're already like in danger, then it's bad. But like some people can eat unhealthy for a little bit to either relax or to gain weight if say they want to gain weight. Like that's what some athletes will do in a bulking phase. Also, I think a lot of foods, you just have to pay more attention to like your goal and which direction you want to go with it. You can use high calorie foods for good if you want to, but you can also and need to know which low calorie nutrient dense foods are easily used and necessary for your body.
Yeah.
I
want to go back to the drug comment because I think you nailed it. Is that not everyone has like a goal that is this, that, and the other. You just need to kind of keep an eye on things. I would say that if you viewed food like you viewed alcohol, is it cool to have like 3 or 4 beers? Yeah, that's mad tight, homie.
Yeah.
If you decide to have like 3 or 4 shots, that's like, okay, now we're starting to get into a weird zone. Then it's like, hey, I'm having 6 beers. Like, okay, we're getting a little drunk, and it's like it's almost like you know when someone has a drinking problem.
Right.
It's like, oh, hey, like my buddy has like a beer a night. Like, why are you telling me this? Like, I don't care. Like, like he has like 6 beers a night. It's like, that seems like a little too many, but I mean, he's not off the rails. How's work for him?
What are you getting to? What's your point here?
We'll get there. Oh, my buddy's, drinking like a fifth every night. It's like, your buddy has a drinking problem.
Right.
Like you have these points that if you looked at it like food, it's like, oh, I eat at McDonald's a couple times a week.
Right.
Sure, whatever. Oh, I sometimes will like, I keep a cake in the house and I have like cake every single day. It's like, okay, like a slice of cake every single day isn't necessarily going to ruin you, but like, let's make sure we're managing the rest of our day accordingly.
Right. As long as you're not overboard on everything.
Exactly. But if I'm going to McDonald's every single day, I'm drinking, 3 sodas a day. I'm doing all this other stuff. It starts compounding to being like, okay, my buddy who has a few drinks a day to I'm an alcoholic to my buddy who eats a piece of cake a day to I haven't seen him not eat fast food since I've met him.
That's true.
There's a scale there.
Yeah, there's definitely a scale and you have to treat it like that. Everyone has a different scale.
Yes.
That's a big part. I also think that, you have to be specific to where you need to go. It's like if you are not a super high paid athlete, you can afford to relax and have fun. It's like you can have a little bit of alcohol here and there. You can, you enjoy your glass of wine. You can enjoy your cake, whatever, as long as you're not like putting yourself into a really bad and worse state.
Yeah.
I encourage it. Even I think if you're eating, 4 or 5 meals a day, which is going to be like 20 to 30 meals a week, then you can afford to have 1 or 2 of those meals as just whatever junk that you wanted.
Yeah.
And I think you're not going to ruin your entire week.
I think that's actually a really good point. Intuitive eating does not mean whatever your body is craving.
Yeah.
Yep.
It means eating when you're hungry and then stopping when you're full. That doesn't mean go eat McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
like 5 times a week.
Well, even today I've picked up a much better
That's a good
habit
point.
recently
Yeah.
where I eat less than I want and I just stop and I give it like 30 minutes, and then if I'm still hungry I'll eat more,
Yeah.
and then if I'm not hungry I hang out on it. And the reason I picked that up is because being that we're so sedentary recently, I go to the gym, I go on my runs and everything, but ultimately I'm at a desk 90% of the time. I was realizing like, I don't need to eat as much as I think I need to eat.
If anything, that's intuitive eating, because what you're doing is you're intuitively making a correction to what you're supposed to eat based on how your day's going. And if you do that right and you kind of know which portions are correct per meal, then you can actually judge like, hey, we're out in the range all day. Maybe you should overdo, some carbs and fats to give me fuel or something like that.
Now I feel called out. I was out. That is another thing even too, other side of the spectrum. We had a range the other day. We're out there doing, we're out in the sun for like 12 hours, if not more. And like Wes is being a good boy and he's eating like protein, food, this, that, and the other. I was just pounding water. I don't think I ate like one Pop-Tart from a package because someone's like, hey, I don't want to eat both these Pop-Tarts. I was like, okay, I'll take that. And that's like what I ate that day.
It's like, what? Why don't you want to eat both your Pop-Tarts? That's what I want to know. What the heck?
So there's sides to it, and anyone can be in anywhere. You might fall inside one side or the other, but ultimately, like you said, intuitive eating, the way people like to use it, I agree with both of you, is dumb. I think intuitive eating can be better. I think if you follow that definition,
right,
it can be better, but it requires education, it requires self-control, and it requires self-reflection. Anyone else want anything else to touch on?
Well, it's like to some extent, whenever I'm hungover, I always crave vinegar for some reason. Is there any reason for that? Like
A listener question. That's good.
Ooh, good listener question. Yeah, so if you're craving vinegar, usually that's a sign of you want to get more sodium, because like a lot of vinegary foods have a lot of sodium in them, electrolytes, things like that. So either you're dehydrated or you're low in electrolytes. I think it's called hypo. I don't know. I'm gonna not mess it up. Never mind. Yeah, and you're just mineral depleted. So I think either of those.
We solved it.
Yeah, Dimitri gets pissed because
We have 3 containers of pickles with different levels of pickle juice in them.
Well, I just eat the pickles. That's what I like.
That's what I do. We had like I thought we were gonna have a symbiotic relationship because he told me, he's like, hey, just I'm always drinking pickle juice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. I'll eat the pickles. You drink juice. I cannot keep up with his pickle juice consumption.
Oh damn, you're drinking it
And
that
it's
much?
like, and it's not even like when he's just hungover. He's full of shit. He's constantly drinking pickle juice. He's like, oh, I'm hungover. No, he'll like come home from work and drink pickle juice.
I think it's because, bro, hear me out. Pickle juice is very similar to people who fast. They're the liquid that they drink, so they could fast for multiple days. So if you're not eating enough, and then your body's like, oh, I still need nutrients, I still need minerals. So it's like that's why you're craving that, but you're not craving
They
food.
say if you're really hungry and out at sea, your body will tell you to do weird stuff like eat fish eyeballs and stuff.
Yeah.
So if I find you outside eating a pigeon,
Yikes.
then we'll really know we need to take care of it.
I don't know why I drink pickle juice now.
Well, anything else to say on intuitive eating?
No, I think we said a ton.
Everything's
Yeah.
good. I thought this was a good topic. I really liked it. If this offended you, I love that for you. Please let us know why. If you agree with us, I love that even more. Please let us know why. You can find us at BNS_radio. We have the podcast. We have the YouTube channel. We have the Instagram. If you're not following already, please do. Otherwise, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Have a beautiful day.